Welcome to unThinkMe. My name's Adam, and I've never bungee jumped, and I don't really get why that's a thing.
I'm, as always, James, and I would bungee jump given the opportunity if it didn't cost me anything, which probably leads to safety issues.
I'm fakery. I also would not bungee jump. Doesn't matter the price. Not for me.
Welcome to the show, Fakery. We have a brief message from our sponsor. I'm sorry about this, guys, but Llama Corn is here today to say hi to you, and we're going to get you pumped right now. So Llama Corn is going to say yeah. You want to say yeah back, viewers at home? You ready? All right, here we go. Yeah! Yeah! All right. Way to go, James. Way to go, Fakery. And one more time. I feel like we could get a little better than that. Okay, you give it all you got right now. Okay, yeah.
These levels.
Yeah! Yeah! Oh, boy, I clipped the audio. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Everything's broken.
Nice.
And this has been
End
Llama
of
Corn.
show.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for joining us. That's been unThinkMe.
Gonna go and eat some honey and suet.
This is a comedy podcast.
A bit, yeah. We really haven't had any genuine trolls yet. Everybody, like, subscribe, smash that notification button, and then troll the hell out of us.
Yeah. It's getting there, James. It's
Is it?
pushing into troll country a little bit. It
Okay.
was those
All right.
diehards, those really wonderful, loyal people. I did a bad thing where I hashtagged Christianity. That brought in quite a few. And if I ever mention Jordan Peterson, I get in trouble. But there are people now who are like, "Oh shit, it's these guys again. How do you keep showing up?" Like, I don't know, dude.
You know what? I appreciate that they took the time to
I
comment.
love them.
They
I'm
could have
glad.
just ended it and moved on like any other person would have. So we've touched them somehow.
Very
Yeah.
happy to move beyond our wheelhouse into genuine challenge, and we can see what the problem is, and hopefully, adjust or not adjust to taste.
Are you all not Christian?
No.
I called myself a Christian, and they don't like that, so I'm not a Christian. I've decided, but I do pray. I do love the Jesus. I do read the Bible, all that. So I don't know. No big deal.
James, do you do any of that stuff?
I'm a man of science. I don't say I'm an atheist or anything like that, but I also don't believe a lot of it. Yeah, I don't want to get canceled in any way. I don't want to inhibit anyone else's beliefs on whatever makes them happy, or infringe on their religious freedoms in any way. And so all I do is ask the same.
I'm not religious myself, just to
Yeah.
throw it out there.
Oh yeah, totally. I've discovered a sort of identity with that sort of belief pretty late in life, and yeah, I just find I'm not really welcome there with that. So yeah, I'm kind of off doing my own thing, and I am. It's definitely not the case where I think that you're punished forever after you die in any kind of specific way in a specifically like cement dungeon with chains wrapped around you on fire, things like that. Nothing of that sort. Or that it's really something exclusive to the descendants of Israelites and Europeans or anything like that. But I just think that tradition offers us, in particular, an interesting way of relating to spirit in second person as a relationship between the self and some sort of divinity who's kind of a person that's not me. Interesting way of going about it.
Yeah.
I think that the atheists tend to, if they have a sort of spirituality, it tends to be about nature, about external reality, the beauty of the planet and the cosmos and everything. And oftentimes, coming from Eastern traditions, the divinity is found in the self and the consciousness of the self, and then kind of flows outward from there. But this is actually what I was talking about earlier with first, second, and third person approaches to spirit, and then non-duality being that those are all the exact same thing seen through different lenses, inside, outside, upside down.
But when you were mentioning, you said that people don't like Jordan. When you mentioned Jordan Peterson, you're mentioning Jordan Peterson in a positive light.
To whatever extent, I'm just in a critical light, but I'm a fan of the guy. I like the guy,
Yeah.
and I think it's weird, particularly like Europeans think he's just totally insane and everything. It's like I don't really get that. I criticize him for not knowing about the things that I talk about, Ken Wilber. The problem is when you start talking about Jordan Peterson, his cronies come out, all his fans that are trying to be like him and be super critical thinky, they come after me and oh, you gotta turn yourself around if you wanna talk about Jordan Peterson, you gotta be ready, by gall. Ah. It brings out a really ivory tower energy.
Polarizing. Yeah.
It's very welcome. I love it. It's funny. But yeah, it can be hurtful. Whereas the
That
Ken
sucks.
Wilber crowd are so kind and polite and gentle and friendly. It's like that's like my magical fantasy land. It's
In the first bumper we ever made for this channel, Adam said something that holds very true. Spiral dynamics, integral theory, and altitudes all encompass religion as well. It's not an exclusive thing. They work hand in hand. None of what we're talking about is a religious thing. It's more interpersonal communication and self-development. So it doesn't put a flag in a camp. It's kind of everywhere.
What is altitude?
the spiral dynamics was was a model of consciousness based on 9 stages. Ken Wilber used that, but then there was it got a little iffy. So he made his own model. It was 12 stages, includes these higher stages that correspond to state structures of spiritual awakening.
And it's not that there will only ever be 12 stages.
Right.
That's just as far as he's talked about so far. Or anyone's talked about. That's like foreseeable.
Yeah, so when we say altitudes, that's one model. Spiral dynamics is a model that people might be more familiar with. Any stage model of development, it corresponds to these kind of patterns in how people think, feel, and do. One line of development could be your faith line or your spirituality line of development, whatever tradition you're coming from. So what we're really trying to do with the integral approach is to allow everyone to have a voice, whether they're coming from Taoism or Islam or atheism, agnosticism, Catholicism, Scientology, New Age, paganism. It's like, okay, well, let's not all kill each other because we're all reasonable people and nobody's completely wrong about everything. So is there overlap here? Is it possible we're kind of saying the same thing, and maybe where we have our head up our ass is kind of specific to a tradition, or even just specific to the way that I might express the tradition that I'm coming from? I've spent most of my time as an atheist, and I've just feel that love and compassion and bliss as natural and endemic to the self, to nature, to the planet Earth, to the cosmos. And it's almost as though in ancient times we labeled those things, we gave them names, we told stories about these really basic facts of what it is to be like a developmental being, a sentient consciousness. And those become sort of codified into religions, which then become really stiff and really authoritative. So it's just sort of to embrace, what does the Baha'i faith have to offer a person such as myself, as opposed to, that's not what I believe in, I don't like that, get it away from me. But what is it? Is that for me? Maybe.
How do they feel about trans and gay people? They're like, oh, they're out. Like, okay, yeah, I think I'm good.
They're out. I'm out too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there goes me.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there are things that you don't like. It seems like that would fit to something you don't like.
As far as like ideologies and religions and things like that?
Yeah, any of that stuff. Yeah.
Some, not religions, but religious expressions come from kind of lower aspects or facets of human beings. The Egyptians had a religion, and that seemed to promote slavery, so that I'm not too into that. That seems to be a kind of childish approach to religion. Things like that, where it's kind of clear by moral standards of today that it's no longer really acceptable. And I guess now I'm talking a little bit more about like American Christianity and things like that, where there's sort of some things that are not really okay anymore to believe. And right now, in the 90s, it seems like Americans attained the right to be gay from their culture, and that became, pretty acceptable. And even if you didn't really like it, you kind of had to just let them be and not go and kill him or something. And we've gone through a revolution, and maybe 10 years ago, and to today, where trans has kind of gone that way, where it's like, if you kind of want to be a different gender, we can believe that there's something wrong with you, but we can't really legislate that. Who know? It's kind of all over the place right now. It could go either way, but I feel like those victories have been won by these movements. And when you fought so hard for so long on these kind of civil rights based issues, rights of personal expression, gender identity, orientation, things like that, I can't really accept any religion that didn't update with the times in that way. Although many, it's not fair to say that Christians didn't update to that. Some did, some didn't. Some individuals did, some didn't. It's something that kind of has to be held in the balance. Like I think James was saying, the Baha'i faith, he looked into it, and apparently there some expression of it is anti-trans, anti-gay. So okay.
Well, it's not. I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong, and I don't want to paint them in a bad light because everybody's good people. They have their temple. They have the hole in the ceiling because it's all inclusive. Gay and trans people can attend their services. They just can't actually be Baha'i themselves. Which is,
so I guess we would be encouraging.
That's weird.
Any sort of approach like that to be updating with the morality of that's progressed through time. That's kind of what I would say about that. I think that it's all developmental. In really, when we were forming these religions, we didn't have books a lot of the time, things like that, very primitive in terms of writing and cultural communication. We just didn't really know. We didn't really have as much knowledge about the world as we do today, and what could potentially be the ill effects of being gay or trans or different races and things like that. We just didn't really know. So it's just assembling that data. And now that we have that, it's kind of no longer acceptable to hold on to, hateful perspectives. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you do any James, any conscious expression of your gender?
Oh, I definitely identify as male.
But
him.
do you have any curated conscious expression of that?
I have facial hair, which was really a coming to age thing. This is all the facial hair I can grow. It doesn't grow over here. It just comes in all white trash like that. I actually saw a painting of a 14th great grandfather, and same, he doesn't have any hair there either. This is just kind of what we get. I just do it now because I don't recognize my own face more than I'm trying to put on a masculine sort of exit. I've had it for 20 something years. So when I shave, I'm like, I don't know this person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you do anything to avoid looking feminine or womanly?
No, not intentionally.
I was going to chime in there. I remember when we were in high school, you were like a real scrawny guy, and you didn't have a lot of clothes to wear. You would take hand-me-downs from my mom. But you'd never notice they were ladies' clothes at all. They look fine on you.
I'm just photo ready all the time.
But I think that if you were kind of more of that macho guy, that would be out of the question,
wearing women's clothes to high school. I mean, they weren't blatantly flowery, blousy things, but there were women's clothes. The buttons were on the wrong side.
Yeah. That was just one thing that popped into my head there.
Interesting. Yeah. And Adam, I'm imagining you have some conscious awareness of how you're expressing.
In recent times, I've been embracing masculinity a little more, but growing up, this was a part of how I kind of realized my gender identity. Is I really couldn't get behind, I'd go shopping with my brothers and stuff, and they'd all be like, doesn't this cap look cool? Aren't these shorts kind of nice? I don't get it. It doesn't look right to me. It doesn't feel right. And James would know, I would wear really baggy clothes with stains on them and just totally look doofy. Did not care about how I came off because I didn't really feel that curating myself as a male didn't feel right or appropriate. And I feel like I'm kind of coming back to where that does feel a little more normal to me. It's a pretty psychological thing. I had some aversion to it. And as I discovered curating myself more, expressing myself more in the feminine, that did have that effect where I like this. I like the way I look. I like shopping. I like makeup and accessories and things. This is fun. And I get it. But it was only in femininity that I found that I even realized what that is or became conscious of it as a thing. Now, how do you stack up there with curating gender? What do you think?
Yeah, I do very little for myself. I like fashion a lot, so I watch a lot of runway shows, usually women
Cool.
runway shows, but occasionally men also. I just like fashion. I'd like to go to nice stores to look at nice clothing and just touch it and
Yeah.
appreciate it. But in terms of dressing myself, I'm not interested in dressing in any particular way. I
Yeah.
don't have like a curated way of dressing. I also, as a part of wanting to get rid of political things, back in the day when I was first starting to drink tea, I stopped watching politics and I started watching makeup videos,
Okay.
just to like, yeah, to offset the something that was not very stimulating, but also just pleasant to look at, like a pretty woman becoming even more pretty doing makeup. That was interesting to me, and learning about different makeup techniques was cool. I'm very interested in makeup and fashion, but I've never done any of that for myself. Never like worn makeup. Not not really dressed any way fashionably at all ever in my life.
When I do go close, I dress like a park ranger. If you were to see me
Yeah.
in the wild and just like walking around, I don't fit in most places. I look like I work in Jurassic Park. So my shopping method is I like the science behind the clothes. I don't like to buy clothes that there wasn't some sort of intent that this is going to keep me more cool when it's hot, more warm when it's cold. I like breathable vents. I like pockets with a reason. And so when I go clothes shopping, it's not so much what it looks like. It's, can I rip it in the store? Is this going to rip
Mm.
before I even get home? And sometimes, you split a seam or something. I take it up to the front, like, yeah, this is ripped, but I'll take this one. I'm a highly, highly functional clothes person.
Yeah.
I like there to be thought behind why this thing exists.
That certainly
Nice.
tracks. Yeah. And I think that maybe in all three of our cases, to maybe speak for all three of us, transgender to me means transcending gender.
Hmm.
And in my case, I found feminine expression through transcending gender. James maybe finds pragmatic dress in his trans expression. But I do think there's this I don't want to say androgyny, but just like I don't care what I'm supposed to be, as far as a gender or what I look like or anything. And so, just the most simple, basic thing, I want to be like almost anti identity, almost like not coming off as being a member of this group or that group, and not like being entrenched and having those assumptions and that ascribed status coming along with that. I think that in this kind of second tier emergence, like this stage of today, like where we're at as consciousness today, you see this more and more where people embrace simple, non-representative and non-presenting forms of clothing and, speech, and it's kind of anti-identity. It's anti-branding.
You've known each other since high school?
Oh gosh.
Elementary, I think. Maybe
Wow.
Vaguely,
middle
but
school. Yeah.
we
30,
were buddy
30
buddies
plus
like
years. Yeah.
seventh grade, something like that. We became close friends.
Wow. Close friends in seventh grade and persisting. That's cool.
And then
Do you have any
we've
older?
gone off all on our journeys and stuff. Like we weren't very connected for maybe 20 years. We just kind of
But yeah,
hung
not
out when
that
we
we
know.
didn't like, there was nothing, there was no beef there or anything. If an email or Facebook message or phone call came through, you pick up where you left off. It's just we were both bad at last year, something like that, and talked for
Yeah.
probably 2 hours. And Adam's like, well, would you be interested in doing a podcast? I was like, yeah.
Was there like a shift in either of your um, the way that you perceive the world or the way that you are interacting in the world that was associated with learning the integral theory?
In my case, certainly. I don't know
Yeah.
about James. This has always been kind of my passion. I discovered it when I was maybe 18. A family member turned me on to it. I was very looking for sort of an ideology that makes sense to me or that I could kind of get behind or that just I was just like, what is the nature of reality? Who am I and what am I supposed to do? So I was exploring a lot of philosophy, and when I came upon Ken Wilber integral stuff, it was like, oh, this is what I've been looking for. This totally makes sense to me.
Hmm.
started pulling me toward meditation. And prior to that, I didn't know what meditation was, what it was supposed to be, what you're supposed to be doing. I just kind of put it in this category of silly people doing old shit that doesn't make sense anymore. And
Yeah. Do you currently have do you think that there is a reason to meditate?
uh, reason, yes. Depending, I mean, reasons unfold in levels, so there's reasons not to meditate, I suppose. But for me, definitely very motivated. I think it's really helpful in every level of my being, and more than anything, in ways that I don't quite understand. It seems to be
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
gateway to learning new things, novelty, growing up, seeing things about myself and my world that I didn't see before. So it's sort of an intuition gateway. And just all around, as I fell out of the practice for a good long while. There's a whole story to that, but over the last year, I wasn't really doing it much, and I've gotten really into it recently. I'm identifying more with this sort of character that I am in this channel, and it's really night and day when I am practicing versus when I'm not. The pressures towards addictive stuff and withdrawing socially and denying like responsibilities and worrying, anxiety, feeling like everyone hates me, worthlessness, that kind of stuff. When I'm not in the practice, I just fall into that a lot more. It's just, I don't really get it. I don't really understand it. But when I am in the practice, it's just so clear that this is like who I want to be. This makes sense to me. This works for me.
And have you not had any persistent changes?
As far as what do you mean?
Is it okay if I just ask a bunch of questions?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Do you have thoughts?
Yes.
Generally spontaneous thoughts?
It depends. I do spontaneous thinking on purpose, what I call the intuitive cognitive function. But I also have very purposeful thoughts. I need to think about this. I need to solve this.
Yeah, both spontaneous and deliberate thinking
Yeah.
happens. Is it generally auditory or visual?
Oh, that's interesting. I think when I'm trying to solve problems, it's very language based. And then the intuitive mind is not so, it's kind of more proto, it's like emotional linguistic, or even just patterns, noticing a pattern and being like, what the heck is that?
Do you think a lot about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a pretty self-obsessed dude. Yeah, I think a lot about myself. Yeah.
More about the quality of the thoughts? Is it your own voice when you think in language?
It's a number of my own voices. I have a lot of characters in there. Yeah.
You have distinct characters that show up?
Yeah, I do this sort of magic practice where I am a bunch of different people and there's a bunch of different people around me. They're all imaginary, but that's kind of how I do selfhood.
And do they feel like yourself or do they feel like not yourself?
They do feel out external. Yeah, they feel like puppets. Like, oh, I'm doing this guy. I'm doing this guy. Okay.
Like
The
puppets.
one
That's cool.
the hand that holds the puppets is not really discursive. It doesn't really have a voice. It just kind of
Okay.
is. Yeah.
So sometimes you have thoughts that are recognizably your own thoughts, and whatever that may mean. But then there are other times where they are thoughts of your character or
Yeah.
different characters, and they feel distinctly different from.
Ego and personae. Yeah. So I deliberately play with these persona characters, but Adam ego does come out. I do get bent out of shape, and I do desire things, and I do have opinions. That's kind of ego Adam. I'm being
Right.
ego Adam right now, right?
Can you think in other senses, like smell?
Hmm.
Like if I just ask you to imagine a smell right now,
Not smell, but other senses, yes. I'm pretty bad
bodily
at taste.
sensations, taste, no taste.
Not so much. I'm pretty bad at that.
But what about acceleration?
Can I imagine acceleration?
Yeah.
Or yeah, yeah,
Heat,
definitely.
vibration.
Yeah,
Could you do stability also?
yeah,
Balance, that type of thing.
yes.
Okay, you got some mental flexibility there. When you dream, you have like the full range of sensory input.
Not all at once. I do check on this though. I'm like, wait, did I smell something? Because I write that down if I smelled something. Yeah. But here and there, I'll have every possible thing that I can do in isolation, or is it combination with other things?
Okay.
Like even
Okay.
pain, right? Pain is, how do you have pain in a dream? Ah, that really hurt. Like, what? Really? That really happened? Like, yeah.
Do you have memories?
Currently?
Do
Or
you have
in
the
dreams?
ability to remember?
Are we
No,
still in
yeah.
dreams?
Do you have like spontaneous memories that just kind of happen randomly throughout your day?
Yeah.
Do you have a clear distinction between distant memories, distant in terms of time, and recent memories?
Maybe not so much. That one's kind of bad.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I remember James mentioning that it seems like
He's
you're
good
bad
at that
with.
one.
Well, he said earlier that he was bad with timelines.
He's
Oh,
better than I am.
I have no idea when anything happened. I'm really bad at that. And I'm not saying
Yeah,
like history books, like things in my life. I can't tell you how old I was when the whatever memory I'm recalling happened. Like, yeah, I'm pretty
right.
bad at that. I can't place it on a
Yeah.
timeline.
Have you ever had the? You're familiar with deja vu, right? You're the kind of the sense that something is familiar. It seems like you remember it.
Recognition of an original event. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's
Right.
French for already seen.
Ah, interesting. I didn't know that. Have you had the opposite thing happen where like invasion of the body snatchers, like something that should be familiar feels unfamiliar?
I don't know about that one. That's interesting. I don't know. I don't think so. Should be familiar,
Or
but it's
like,
not. Huh.
yeah, like
Oh,
kind of
you
a
know me. What do you?
quintessential
Yeah.
the quintessential example would be like going to your elementary school and you're like something feels off. It doesn't
Oh,
feel
this is
familiar.
wrong.
Yeah.
Everything's so tiny. All the lockers, the toilets, everything's little tiny. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah,
but I don't think
exactly.
I have that one. I don't think I do notice
Okay.
that.
Do you have any issues with like events that are non-recurring?
Difficulty like remembering them, kind of, or
Yeah.
hundred
Like you
percent.
have
I
a
suck
dentist
at that.
appointment.
Yep.
You have a dentist appointment on Tuesday and you just completely forget.
I'm totally absent-minded at that. Yeah. It's almost a
Interesting.
guaranteed fail in my case.
What do you do? What do you do to stop that? Do you have any method?
Uh, Phone apps, writing stuff down. I mean, I have to use logic tricks, definitely.
Yeah, I've recently learned how to use a Google Calendar.
Yeah, me too. Literally
Yeah.
this year.
Do you have emotions?
Definitely. Yeah.
I have a wide range,
Yeah.
negative, positive.
Yep. Both very negative, very positive.
Do they come quickly?
Yeah.
They go away quickly.
Yeah. I maybe have to kind of make them go away if I want them to, but I can get rid of them pretty easily.
So you have to deliberately get rid of them if.
I will dwell on an emotion for a really long time. Yeah. If I don't make myself not.
Do you feel like your emotions are controllable? Like, can you like deliberately
Pretty much.
cause an emotion?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I'm pretty good at psyching myself out.
How extreme can you do that? Like when you if you can deliberately call an emotion, how intensely can you do that?
It's, yeah, there's stimulus for every emotion readily at. I mean, I can scare myself. Like if I'm in a dark room, I can make myself scared or not scared.
Yeah,
I can love someone or hate someone just at kind
yeah,
of at will, like because there's just plenty to love and hate about everyone and every situation. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Do you have a sense of self?
Um, yeah.
Has it ever changed?
In some ways it stays the same. Some ways it does change.
Never like a obvious like sudden change.
Yeah, it's pretty gradual. Pretty gradual.
Do you have a sense of others?
Yeah.
Could you do you have like the flexibility of projecting consciousness into other things?
Oh yeah.
Like your llama, could you like make your llama?
Oh yeah. They tell me things. They talk to me.
Yes. Oh, okay, that's cool. Have you always had that ability, or is that like
A friend taught it to me. I
really?
never even imagined that you could do anything like that. Yeah.
Huh. And you use that regularly as a
It's my
like for
sort of
something?
sorcery. It's kind of how I do magic. Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
It's pretty fun.
Okay, well, James, are you picking up anything from? I'm just asking random questions, kind of kind of
This is
understanding
neat.
what.
I don't get what we're doing, but it's really neat. It sort of looks like we're looking at cognitive aptitudes, kind of, or that's neat. That's really neat.
Learning some things about your mind. Really it.
So we are at 1 minute, and unfortunately, that is my
Oh,
time.
cool.
But
All right, well, it's
we'd
been
love
fun.
to have you back. This is really great, and I'd love to dig deeper into like everything, you know, and stuff we didn't cover. And
If you are able to come back at any time, we'll make sure that we have clear schedules. But thank you so much for coming in. Your time's a gift, like I said. Thank you.